Our next witness will be Tahir Amin, CEO, Initiative for Medicines, Access and Knowledge, a nonprofit organization working to address inequalities in how medicines are developed and distributed. Thanks very much for being with us.
Chairman Sanders, Ranking Member Cassidy, and members of the committee, it is my honour to be invited here to share with you a root cause of why the US pays by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. That root cause is how the pharmaceutical industry manipulates the patent system to lengthen patent protection and its market monopoly in order to block competition, all while increasing prices. So I qualified as a UK attorney in intellectual property, and I have been in the field for 30 years. I spent my first decade of my legal career practicing as an attorney at international law firms and for multinational companies, including American companies. Through this work, I learned both the legal and business side of intellectual property and its importance to inventors, investors, and companies. I also learned how to use loopholes to game the system. These loopholes enabled me to invent intellectual property rights so companies could obtain and maintain a monopoly in the market while continuing to extract maximum profits. It was the reason why I co-founded I-MAK and left the commercial world. America is in a severe drug pricing crisis. More than 1/3 of Americans say they are not able to fill a prescription for medication because of its cost. Black Americans are most heavily impacted as they are more likely to require medication for chronic conditions and earn less. Now, prescription drug spending on retail and non-retail drugs is poised to grow 63% this decade to $917 billion. And branded prescription drugs, which are under patent protection, account for 84% of that spending. These price hikes correspond with a dramatic increase in patenting activity in the pharmaceutical sector. Now, we have analysed some of the top 10 selling drugs in the United States, and we have found a total of 1,429 patent applications have been filed as of 2022. 741 patents have been granted on these drugs. On average, that is more than 140 patent applications filed per drug and 74 patents granted per drug. That's 66% of those patents are filed after the drug is approved by the FDA. Now, if we look at some of the drugs that are on the discussion today with the companies that were here, Keytruda's Merck, Eliquis, Stelara, Johnson & Johnson, also Imbruvica, which is AbbVie, Johnson & Johnson. Between them, there's a combined of 494 patent applications filed on them, of which 235 were granted patents. I just want to dig a little bit deeper into Merck and particularly Senator Lawan's questioning of whether Merck would sort of allow biosimilar competition once the primary patent expires. You have to remember, Keytruda actually represents 47% of Merck's total pharmaceutical revenue. Now, as of June 2002, we've counted 180 patent applications, of which 78 are granted. They have patent protection at least until 2039, which is in total 37 years of patent protection since they filed their first patent, which is 2002. You're supposed to get a patent for 20 years, remember. Market and media analysts are currently reporting that we should see biosimilar competition in 2028, to Senator Lawan's question. I put myself on record here today, we will not see biosimilar competition until 2034. They will litigate the hell out of it, and they will use every cent that they can to kind of not leave $100 billion on the table, which is what those patents are worth to them. And all this talk of R&D and new indications, these patents are already disclosed in their earlier patents that should be expiring in 2024. Bristol Myers Squibb, same problem. Bristol Myers has actually increased the price of Eliquis by 124% since its introduction in 2012. That's higher than the general rate of inflation. They have filed more patents here in the United States, 2.4 more times than in Europe. In fact, the patents that the CEO from BMS was talking about, the relevant patents, those were actually invalidated in Europe, and that's why we have generic competition in Europe. But those patents are actually preventing competition here in the United States, and it's going to cost us $48 billion in branded Eliquis. So this committee should recognize that the use of patent thickets to extend the market monopoly period on a product is not a case of a few bad actors. It's endemic. If you want to get to the heart of the problem, the first and most important thing Congress can do is solve the problem, is raise the bar for what classifies as an invention that deserves a patent. It's an enormous monopoly power that in a single hands of a drug maker, and we shouldn't leave it to the market and litigation to resolve these issues. So the patenting activity goes well beyond the time limits of monopoly that the Constitution required. Lawyers exploit sophisticated legal marketing Jedi tricks that they use under the guise of innovation. We need to actually not get sidetracked by this innovation talk. Most of these patents are tweaks deliberately for the financialization of profits. And that's what the pharmaceutical industry does today. I've been in the business and I know what it's about. Thank you.